So the next thing I want to look at here is using TurboStream broadcasts for the messages. So right now we'll just go back to our general assistant. When we type in our messages and hit send, they both come through at the same time, even though the user one should be instant and this one should come in a little later. So we're going to go into our AI agent message model and paste this in here. So what we're doing here is on create of the messages, broadcast and append into the messages div. We render our component like normal. And then after update, if we update a message, we broadcast or replace. We need to set a message ID on the message component itself so we can auto replace those whenever we make changes to the messages. So if we wanted to implement streaming messages or anything like that. So I'm going to save this here and we're going to make a few changes in the views in order to accommodate this. So we first of all need to subscribe to this TurboStream. So if we go to our show view and we'll just come up to the top and add in a TurboStream from, but instead of task, it's going to be our task ID here. So we'll save that. Next thing that we need to do is update our ID from messages here so that we can go into our agent message. And this is what we want the ID to be for the messages div, just so that you could have two tasks open in two separate browser windows and it's all going to work fine. So we want to come in here and then just replace our agent task ID here. So, and then the final thing is we want to go into our component for message component and go to the HTML and we want to add an ID on here. And let's just see if that's right. So it should be this format. So agent underscore task and then the task ID underscore message and then the message ID. So I think that's all right. We can hit save. And now if we come back to our controller and our create action here, we're appending messages and whatever. And we're just replacing the form with an empty partial. So we still want to do the form and clear the form out. But for the messages, we just want to take this out completely. So we can actually remove the array here. We'll just neaten this up a little bit and hit save. So if we have done this all correctly, it should now work. So we can come in here, reload, type in hello, and you'll see our message comes in first and the assistant ones comes in after. So that's perfect. The only other thing we can then look at doing here is if we come into our agent task, what we can actually do, agent, what we can actually do here is listen for message creation on the assistant itself. So we can add this add message callback, which provides us with a message as and when the LangChain assistant has new messages. So we can call task upsert message here. So I've added this method in and it basically just does some deduplication. So it searches for existing messages or tool calls, which we'll look at later, and won't recreate those messages if they're the same twice. So we can hit save here. The only other thing that I want to do then is when we're taking our messages out of the database and adding them back into the assistant to fill it in on the history, I just want to pass in the tool calls and tool call ID from the database that we have. Again, that'll be more relevant once we start to add in tool calls to the messages. So we'll hit save here and we can also come back to our agents controller, and where we create a message at the end, we'll no longer have to do that. So we should see that we've created the message twice if we come here and reload and type in hello, and you see we get the message through twice. So that's because we're creating the message through this add message callback, and then also we're creating it in the controller. So we can take this out now. We can also take out the response. So we're just calling task.agent.run with the task. We don't need the response. We're just using the TurboStream to clear out our form and that's it. So come back and reload and just test this again. How can I assist you today? What is the date? And I think this is one of the things I'm unable to provide real-time information. So that's all fine. We can deal with that in the next video when we come to look at tools.